The rivers flow. In a quiet village nestled by the edge of a vast forest, there flowed a river, wide and winding, its waters ever moving, never still. The river had been there for as long as anyone could remember, carving its way through the land, changing its path, and carrying with it all that came in its way. To the villagers, the river was a constant companion, its soft murmur was the backdrop to their lives, and its flow was as predictable as the passing of the seasons. Yet, there was one man in the village who could never quite make peace with the river's movement. His name was Samuel, and he was a man who valued stability. He had always believed in the importance of standing firm, of having a solid place to call home and a life that didn't change. Samuel had built a house by the river's edge, planted his garden, and taken a job at the village smithy, thinking that if he worked hard enough, he could control the direction of his life. But as the years passed, Samuel's world began to shift in ways he didn't expect. Friends moved away, his business struggled, and his garden, once full of life, began to wither. The world around him seemed to change in ways he couldn't stop. It was as though the river had taken his peace with it, pulling everything away like the relentless flow of water. One morning, as Samuel sat by the river, staring at the gently moving water, an old man appeared beside him. The man's hair was long and silver, his eyes as calm as the river itself. "The river is always flowing," the old man said, sitting down beside Samuel. "It never stays in one place." Samuel looked at him, a deep frown on his face. "That's exactly it. The river never stays where you want it to. It's always moving, always changing. It doesn't care about my life or the way I want things to stay the same. And that's what bothers me, it's always so unpredictable." The old man smiled, his gaze soft. "The river doesn't seek to control anything. It doesn't worry about what it leaves behind or where it's going next. It simply flows, trusting in the natural rhythm of things." Samuel shook his head. "But what if you're swept away? What if everything you've built is lost to the current? How can you be at peace with that?" The old man chuckled gently. "Ah, you think the river is your enemy. But the river doesn't destroy, it moves. It is in constant motion, and that movement is what creates life. The very act of flowing brings new things to the river's banks. Without its flow, the river would become stagnant, and nothing could live in it. It may change its course, but it is never lost." Samuel was silent, the weight of the old man's words sinking in. "Life is like the river," the old man continued. "You see, it is not the flow that causes trouble, it is the resistance to the flow. When you try to stop the current, when you fight against the changes that life brings, you exhaust yourself. But when you allow yourself to flow with the river, to embrace change and let go of the need for control, you'll find peace." Samuel sat still for a long time, watching the river's current, its steady pace carrying it forward. He had spent so many years trying to hold on to what he knew, to keep everything in one place, but life was not meant to be held still. Just as the river didn't struggle against its natural course, perhaps he didn't need to struggle against the changes in his own life. "What if I let go?" Samuel asked softly, almost to himself. "What if I stop trying to control everything?" The old man nodded. "Then you'll find that the flow of life will carry you to where you need to go. There is peace in trusting the journey, in knowing that nothing is permanent. The river teaches us this truth, that everything moves, everything changes, and that change is not something to fear, but something to embrace." The sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting a golden glow over the river. For the first time in many years, Samuel felt a sense of lightness. The river was no longer a force to be feared. Instead, it was a reminder that life itself was a journey, one that was meant to be experienced, not controlled. The old man stood up, ready to leave, and Samuel followed him to the edge of the river. "Thank you," Samuel said, a smile tugging at his lips. "I think I understand now." The old man smiled in return, his eyes twinkling like the water's surface. "Remember," he said, "the river doesn't stop flowing. And neither should you." As the old man disappeared into the forest, Samuel sat by the river for a long time, watching the water flow past. He no longer saw it as something to resist, but as a part of the rhythm of life. The flow of the river, like the flow of his life, was something he could trust, something that would carry him forward. And for the first time in years, Samuel felt a peace he had long sought, peace in knowing that change was not something to fear, but to embrace. With a deep breath, Samuel stood and walked back toward his house. The river would continue to flow, and so would he, letting go of the need to control, trusting in the journey, and finding peace in the flow of life. Thanks for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to give it a like, share it with others who might benefit, and subscribe to the channel for more valuable content like this. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.